a birth ball in labor can seriously impact your labor experience. Let's talk about 10 reasons why you should use a birth ball in your labor and pregnancy. Hi, I'm Alex. I'm a doula, a childbirth educator, and a mom of two, and I'm passionate about helping other mamas feel empowered to go into their birth and bring their babies into the world fearlessly. So today we're going to talk about 10 reasons why you should have a birth ball in your birth space. So first off, I have my birth ball here. It's just a standard exercise ball. Of course, if you put birth in front of something, it's going to ramp up the prices. So that is completely up to you on what kind of brand or whatever that you want. Something I highly encourage you to look into if you plan on using a ball in your birth experience is definitely to look at the sizing. Okay, so the first reason that you might want to use a birth ball in your experience, your birth experience, is comfort. So the very first thing to do when you start labor is to find something comfortable, some sort of position that allows you to sleep. Early labor, like I've said in previous videos, you can check out my early labor video here. Early labor is not the time to run up and down some stairs, do some crazy lunges, no. Early labor is definitely the time to take a nap, rest, do some exaggerated side lying. But if it's starting to get maybe a little more uncomfortable, using a birth ball to find comfort is a great thing. So you can lean on the birth ball, put all of your body weight, and spread those knees to about hip width apart, trying to keep them open so that your hips just kind of fall. If you put your body on top of the ball and just let your body sink into the ball, it's the best way to find comfort from potentially any back labor and allow baby to just form right into that belly. So finding comfort through the birth ball is really great because it is something that is soft, it is not a hard surface, it can move, you can sway on it like I showed you in that little clip of me on the birth ball. Just being able to move with the ball is something that's going to be super helpful when contractions get a little more intense. The second reason to use a birth ball in your labor and birth experience and also your pregnancy is because it can relieve tension in your hips. So by sitting on a birth ball, you're actually not sitting on something that's flat. Clearly, it's a ball, and it concaves with your bottom. So by allowing your bottom to have support but also not be flat against something like a chair, it releases tension in your hips. You can also do things like hip circles or figure eights, which absolutely help with the tension in your hips as well. Number 3, I kind of touched on a little bit with number 1, but it's really good for back labor. So by leaning over that birth ball and allowing your belly to just hang, allows baby to come off of your spine and relieve some of the tension on your back, causing back labor to be not as intense. All right, number 4, using a birth ball specifically throughout pregnancy as well allows our bodies to encourage good fetal positioning. So by choosing to sit on a birth ball later in pregnancy as opposed to a chair or leaning back on your couch, it encourages good posture, and good posture encourages good fetal positioning. Ideally, you want baby's spine to be up against the curvature of your belly. Baby is always going to go where there is the path of least resistance. So if you're slouching back on a couch and your spine is curled inward, baby is more likely to turn their spine to your spine. But if you're choosing to sit forward or sit on a birth ball, it encourages your spine to be more straight and your belly to be the path of least resistance for baby to have their spine curled to your belly. So by sitting on a birth ball, like I said, it definitely encourages good fetal positioning. Okay, number 5, using a birth ball through labor allows for rest in between contractions. So if you're using the birth ball as leaning forward and putting your hands and face on the ball with your knees on the ground and just falling into the ball, it allows you time to rest in between contractions. It doesn't require a lot of effort to be on all fours and have the birth ball under your head. So after a contraction is over, allowing your body to just totally get as relaxed as possible, and it allows you to rest. Number 6, sitting on a birth ball during the early stages of labor as well as the early stages of active labor can actually encourage dilation. So again, because there is no pressure on your bottom, it allows the hips to open and everything to relax, which allows contractions to be more efficient. When you are calm and confident, your contractions are going to be more effective and more efficient. So by sitting on a birth ball and having known what to do with the birth ball because you've been practicing it all pregnancy, that can actually encourage contractions. Now, this is not a guarantee. Obviously, I can't guarantee anything, but it is definitely something that makes a lot of sense and I have personally experienced. Number 7 is similar to number 2, which is it opens your hips. So again, by sitting on the birth ball, you allow your hips to open up, you allow that pelvis to move as it needs to move, and also by sitting on the birth ball, typically you are naturally going to be inclined to move in some way, whether that's shifting side to side or doing figure 8s or doing pelvic tilts or even hip circles. You'll naturally feel like you want to do something during contractions, but also during pregnancy. And that just opens your hips to totally relax and help labor move along and help baby's head move down into your pelvis. Number 8 is it releases the tension in your pelvic floor. So the next time you sit on an exercise ball, I encourage you to feel the difference between sitting on a chair versus sitting on a ball. Again, because there isn't that hard, flat surface, your pelvic floor can just rest. And it's a really good space to practice breathing and feeling your pelvic floor relax and tense again as well. Number 9 is using a birth ball allows for slow and steady movement throughout labor. So this is key. Moving throughout labor is so vital to having an efficient labor experience. And by not having to get up and do some stairs or, do some exaggerating lunges or whatever the case may be, you're able to use a birth ball to do those slow hip circles or to get on all fours and to sway or to sit and lean or whatever it may be. But it allows for slow movement because it is an air-filled ball. It is something that you can't necessarily rush. You have to take your time to kind of move with it, and it just allows for the natural flow. And finally, number 10, if you have practiced using a birth ball throughout all of your pregnancy to help with all of the tension in your hips and your lower back, you will go into your birth experience feeling super confident about using it in labor. And confidence is key when it comes to effective pain control without medications, and honestly with medication as well. There's studies that come out. I encourage you to read the Evidence-Based Birth blog on this subject. The link will be in my caption here. But there's research that comes out to say that women who used the birth ball and women who didn't saw drastically different levels of pain. So for those who used the birth ball from 4 to 8 centimeters, said that their pain was around a 4, and for those that didn't use it, their pain was around a 6. And then going forward, this same study shows that as they went through transition, or 8 to 10 centimeters, the women who were trained and used the birth ball actually only ranked their pain at like a 6.2, whereas those without ranked it at about an 8.2 on average. So that's a whole 2 points that the evidence suggests birth balls definitely help in labor. Now, of course, one thing I want to mention is that study, as stated by Evidence-Based Birth, Doesn't include those that lead to cesarean or epidural use. And so that's unfortunate because we don't know how that potentially correlates to the use of birth balls in your birth experience. So those are my 10 reasons to buy a birth ball, practice using it in pregnancy, and using it in labor, and the ways that it can help in labor. Whether you just found out you're pregnant or you are 38 weeks, there is no time that is better than now to start using a birth ball in your daily routine. If you're pregnant and wanting to prepare for labor, I encourage you to hit that notification bell so that you can see when I come out with a birth ball daily routine that'll come out here probably in the next couple of weeks. And I encourage you to do that every single day. Otherwise, sit on it instead of the couch, lean on it instead of sitting on the couch with a movie, and just really get excited about using a tool like this in your birth. And if you have not had the chance to use this in your pregnancy and you are due any day now, that's okay. You can still use a birth ball in your birth experience and it be super effective. If you have a doula, ask them to bring these tools, or if you're laboring at a hospital, ask your doula or your partner to talk to the nurses. There's most likely going to be birth balls or peanut balls at the hospital, and your doula can be or should be trained in how to use one of these with you. It is definitely a tool to use even if you plan on using pain medications, but if you don't plan on using pain medication and you hope to have an unmedicated birth, learning how to use tools like this can absolutely change your birth experience. So I definitely encourage you to look into that, and feel free to check out my Instagram, where I have been posting a ton about evidence around using a birth ball. I've been posting about how to use a birth ball, and you can go check that out. The link is also in the description below. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you liked it. If you did, make sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell so you know whenever a new video of mine comes out, and make sure to give it a thumbs up so that I know that you like this content. We'll catch you on the next one. Bye!